Introduction. Modern business has become a battlefield. Corporations compete aggressively for market dominance, consumer attention, technological advantage, and survival itself. Entire industries can collapse within years. Companies rise rapidly and disappear just as quickly. Yet more than 2,500 years ago, an ancient Chinese strategist understood the psychology of competition with astonishing clarity. His name was Sun Tzu, and his legendary work, The Art of War, remains one of the most influential strategic texts in human history. But this book was never only about war. It was about human behavior, power, decision-making, psychology, leadership, preparation, and understanding how intelligent strategy defeats brute force. Today, many of the world's most successful corporations unknowingly apply Sun Tzu's principles. Apple, Amazon, Tesla, Toyota, and countless global organizations. Because business itself has become strategic warfare, and the companies that survive are rarely the loudest. They are the most prepared. This documentary explores how Sun Tzu's ancient wisdom can transform modern corporate strategy and why his teachings may be more relevant today than ever before. Chapter 1. Win before the battle begins. One of Sun Tzu's most famous principles states, "Victorious warriors win first and then go to war." This idea completely changes how modern companies should think about competition. Most businesses react emotionally. They rush into markets blindly, launch products too early, copy competitors impulsively, spend enormous amounts on advertising without strategic positioning. But Sun Tzu believed true victory happens before direct conflict begins. Preparation creates advantage. Modern successful companies understand this deeply. Before Apple launches a product, years of research, supply chain preparation, ecosystem development, and psychological positioning have already occurred. The public sees the launch, but the real victory happened long before. This is strategic preparation. Sun Tzu warned against fighting battles without advantage. In business, this means never entering markets blindly, never competing without differentiation, and never expanding without preparation. The intelligent company builds strength silently before competitors even realize the threat exists, because strategy is not chaos. Strategy is controlled positioning. Chapter 2. Know yourself and know your enemy. Perhaps the most famous line from The Art of War says, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles." Modern businesses constantly study competitors, but many fail to study themselves honestly. Companies often misunderstand their own strengths, ignore weaknesses, overestimate market position, and become blinded by ego. Sun Tzu understood that self-awareness creates strategic clarity. A company must know what it truly does well, where it is vulnerable, what makes it unique, and where it cannot compete effectively. This is why some companies fail disastrously when attempting to imitate competitors, because copying strategy without understanding identity creates weakness. Netflix succeeded because it understood changing consumer behavior earlier than traditional media companies. Toyota succeeded globally because it understood operational efficiency deeply. Amazon understood logistics and scale better than most retailers. These companies knew themselves clearly. Sun Tzu also emphasized studying the opponent carefully. Modern strategic intelligence includes consumer behavior, competitor weaknesses, market trends, technological shifts, and cultural psychology. The company that understands the market better often wins before the battle even begins. Chapter 3. The Power of Adaptability. Sun Tzu repeatedly emphasized flexibility. Rigid armies become vulnerable. Rigid thinking creates collapse. This principle is even more important today. Markets evolve rapidly. Technology transforms industries overnight. Consumer behavior changes constantly. The companies that survive are not always the strongest. They are the most adaptable. Kodak failed because it resisted digital transformation. Blockbuster failed because it underestimated streaming technology. Nokia failed because it adapted too slowly to smartphone evolution. These were not weak companies. They became rigid companies. Sun Tzu understood that strategic intelligence requires constant adaptation. Modern organizations often become trapped by bureaucracy and ego. Leaders become emotionally attached to old systems. But intelligent companies evolve continuously. Adaptability requires humility, because leaders must accept when reality changes, and accepting change before competitors creates enormous advantage. The future belongs to organizations capable of learning quickly, adapting rapidly, and evolving continuously. Chapter 4. Avoid unnecessary conflict. Modern corporate culture often glorifies aggression, but Sun Tzu believed the highest form of victory avoids destructive conflict entirely. He wrote, "The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting." In business, unnecessary conflict wastes money, energy, focus, and time. Price wars often damage entire industries. Aggressive emotional competition can weaken profitability for everyone involved. Smart companies instead focus on strategic differentiation. Apple rarely competes on price. Luxury brands rarely compete on volume. The most intelligent organizations avoid competing directly where possible. Instead, they create unique positioning. They dominate niches. They shape perception. They build ecosystems competitors struggle to replicate. This is strategic intelligence. Sun Tzu understood that preserving strength matters more than emotional dominance, because exhausted organizations become vulnerable, and sustainable power requires intelligent conservation of energy. Chapter 5. Leadership and Emotional Control. Sun Tzu deeply understood leadership psychology. He warned repeatedly against emotional decision-making. Anger creates recklessness. Fear creates hesitation. Ego creates blindness. Modern executives face enormous pressure: shareholders, media, competitors, economic uncertainty, technological disruption. Under pressure, weak leadership becomes reactive. But Sun Tzu believed calmness creates strategic superiority. The composed leader sees clearly. The emotional leader loses perspective. This becomes critical during crises. The organizations that survive economic downturns are often led by emotionally disciplined leadership teams, because panic destroys rational thinking. Sun Tzu understood that leadership is psychological warfare against chaos itself. The best leaders remain calm while others become emotional. They think long-term while others panic short-term. They preserve clarity while competitors lose direction. Emotional discipline therefore becomes strategic power. Chapter 6. Speed and Decisive Action. Sun Tzu believed timing was everything. Slow decision-making creates vulnerability, yet reckless action creates disaster. The intelligent strategist understands when to move decisively. Modern companies often fail because bureaucracy slows execution. Meetings multiply endlessly. Approval chains delay innovation. Opportunities disappear while organizations hesitate. Startups frequently defeat larger corporations because they move faster. Speed creates advantage. But Sun Tzu emphasized controlled speed, not chaos. The best companies combine preparation, clarity, and rapid execution. Tesla disrupted the automotive industry partly because traditional companies moved too slowly. Amazon expanded aggressively while competitors hesitated. Speed becomes strategic when combined with intelligent direction, because in rapidly changing industries, delay itself becomes risk. Chapter 7. Build strong systems. Sun Tzu understood that strong armies depended on organization and discipline. Modern companies operate the same way. No organization survives long-term without strong systems. Vision alone is insufficient. Motivation alone is insufficient. Successful companies require operational discipline, communication systems, accountability, logistics, and scalable infrastructure. Many startups collapse not because ideas are bad, but because systems remain weak. As organizations grow, complexity increases. Without systems, quality declines, confusion spreads, and execution weakens. Sun Tzu recognized that disciplined structure creates sustainable power. The strongest organizations are not merely creative, they are organized, because execution ultimately determines survival. Chapter 8: Strategy in the AI Age. Today, humanity enters a new strategic era. Artificial intelligence transforms industries rapidly. Automation changes labor markets. Consumer psychology evolves digitally. Competition becomes global instantly. Yet despite technological transformation, human psychology remains ancient. Fear still influences decisions. Ego still blinds leaders. Greed still creates instability. Distraction still weakens focus. This is why Sun Tzu remains relevant. Because the art of war was never only about weapons. It was about understanding human behavior itself, and business remains fundamentally human. Modern corporate strategy, therefore, requires more than technology. It requires wisdom, clarity, adaptability, emotional intelligence, long-term thinking, strategic patience. The companies that survive the future will not merely be technologically advanced, they will be psychologically intelligent. Because sustainable power always begins with understanding reality clearly. And that may be the greatest lesson Sun Tzu ever taught. On conclusion, more than 2,000 years ago, Sun Tzu understood something modern business still struggles to master. Victory is rarely accidental. It is strategic. The strongest companies are not always the largest, nor the loudest, nor the most aggressive. They are the most disciplined, the most adaptable, the most prepared, and the most aware. Because true strategy is not about constant conflict, it is about intelligent positioning, understanding human behavior, managing uncertainty, and remaining calm while others lose clarity. The modern business world may use advanced technology, but the psychology of competition remains ancient, and perhaps that is why Sun Tzu's wisdom continues to survive across centuries. Because while industries change, human nature does not. Please let us know from which part of the world you are watching us in the comment section. Thank you for watching.